Ann Beiler is best known as the founder of Auntie Ann's, the world's largest hand-rolled soft pretzel franchise with over 1,100 locations worldwide. However, Ann's success in the business world was marked by personal tragedy, which began with the death of her 19-month-old daughter and nearly losing her husband, her family, and her faith. Out of her pain came purpose and the desire to persevere towards success personally and professionally. In 2005, Ann sold Auntie Ann's to develop a community center in Lancaster County, Pennsylvania. Today, Ann travels the world speaking and inspiring audiences everywhere. Please join me in welcoming your speaker, Auntie Ann Beiler.
Hi. Hello? Okay, good. Thank you, Mac. Now, I'm not taking you anywhere. Would you like to come along? Okay. Well, it is good to be here today, and watching the presentations makes me want to go somewhere. So maybe I'll come by and see some of you and come up with a plan to go somewhere. Actually, I'm at the point in life where I sort of want to stay home. Anybody know what that feels like? Just can I please just stay home? But anyway, it is so great to be here with you, and thank you for this opportunity to share in this event, this conference with you. And Mac and I met in Lancaster, Pennsylvania about a year ago, I guess it was. 2 years? Yeah, time flies. And they were gracious enough to ask me to come back to this event. So, I don't know, it's 4 o'clock on Sunday afternoon. I'm thinking it's nap time. Except I took my nap before I got here. So, maybe you want to stand a little bit, because I really don't want you to take your nap while I'm here, standing up front here. So do you want to stand up for just a minute and kind of, I don't know, stretch, or don't get engrossed in, in really heavy-duty conversation or anything, but just stretch a little bit, and hopefully I can keep you awake for the next 45 minutes or so. And then tonight, later on, we can all enjoy the dinner at the Space Center, I believe is where it is. Right? So thank you very much. You may be seated. Unless you want to stand during my presentation, you may do that as well. Just make yourself at home. All right, now let me see. Where's the sound guy? Can I do this? Yes, I can. Good. I really don't like to hold still, so this works better for me. Well, once again, thank you. And the city of Huntsville, wow, I'm truly impressed. I don't know how many of you are from Huntsville, but I've been in and out of the city on business, but never really had the opportunity to. We came in last night, and we're just hanging around today. Of course, it's too cold to go anywhere. My sister bought summer clothes, and we're just going to bebop around the streets here, but we were in our room all afternoon. Can you imagine that? It was too cold to go outside. We're really tired of the cold weather. And we thought coming to Alabama would get us into some sunshine. But hey, I know the sun is coming. Fi, would you please stand? My sister Fi is with me. And she keeps me on the straight and narrow. Keeps me going to the right place. And hopefully be there at the right time. And so thank you, Fi, for coming with. If you can't remember her name, you all heard of Princess Di. Yes, Princess Di. Well, her name is Sister Fi. So maybe you can remember her name. And she'll be at the book table anytime between now and tomorrow about 10 o'clock when we leave. But anyway, we do have the book with us tonight called Twist of Faith. And if you're interested in knowing more about my story after I'm done speaking, you can buy the book. And the book table will be over there, and I'll be there signing if you like. Well, I hope you can sit back and relax for the next few minutes. And I just want you to know I'm not here to give you a lecture. So breathe a sigh of relief. I don't do that. And I'm not here to give you a few tips on how to be successful, because I believe that many of you in this room are already successful. And so it's really not about that tonight or this afternoon. I just simply came so that I could share with you my journey. And I hope that as I share my journey and how the power of purpose really kept me going in the right direction, that I hope by the time we're through here this evening that you'll be encouraged. That's really why I came, because, we're all in this journey called life. And sometimes we just get discouraged. And sometimes we just need to hear someone else's story to give us hope and help us along the way. So that's really why we made the trip to Huntsville, to share with you our story and give you some encouragement. Maybe you're here today. I know the economy can be tough, and business can be tough, and people can be rough, and sometimes it just, we just get tired of it. So this amazing hotel and this amazing event that's been put on, hopefully it will just give you some rest and rejuvenate you to get out there and keep on keeping on. I'm here tonight because of the power of grace and one good man. I would not be standing here tonight if it wasn't for those two components in my life. If it wasn't for the grace of God and the love of my husband, his name is Jonas, I would have no story. It's true. I want to talk to you tonight just a bit about the success of Auntie Anne's and my own personal struggles and the power of purpose. All of it really makes my story the twist of faith. Name of my book. I want to talk a little bit about success. Recently, I was in Florida, in Sarasota, Florida. And now, if you make trips to Florida, you know that when you go there's not a whole lot of planning going on, not a lot of strategizing for the future. It's kind of like talking about the past and talking about the memories and what we've done. And in the area that we're in, and there's Sarasota, Lido Beach, and then there's St. Armand's Circle. If you're travel people, maybe you know about St. Armand's Circle. Anyway, I was running one morning and ended up at a Starbucks. And there was an older gentleman there, and he motioned for me to come sit beside him. And I used the word older carefully. I'm looking at the audience here. I'm thinking I really need to watch what I say here, but hey, I'm part of that group, okay? And somebody told me not too long ago that old now, I said older, okay? Older gentleman, but old is always 10 years older than you currently are. Think about it. When you're 50, you think someone in their 60s is old. When you're 60, you think, so anyway, my mom passed away about a year and a half ago, and she was 92. And every now and again, she would say to me, Ann, why can't I walk like I could walk? And why can't I do the things I used to do? And she was just getting older. And my standard answer to her became, Mom, it's because you're old now. And she'd always argue with me, no, I'm not old. Mom, you're 92. You're about as old as you're going to get. She said, no, my friend, Ada, Sevilla Kaufman is 105. That's old. Well, this gentleman in Florida, he was an older gentleman. And so we started to talk, and so what you typically do in Florida, so I said, what have you done in your life, or what do you do right now? And he said, I'm a professional SOB. Huh. Now, I've been around the block a few times when it comes to business, but I never heard anybody tell me they were a professional SOB. And I thought he was kidding. but he wasn't. And so I asked him, I said, so Jack, do you think that you've been successful at being an SOB? And he said, well, I think I have. I have a wife, I have 3 kids, I have 6 grandchildren, and 7 great-grandchildren. And to date, I seldom get phone calls from any one of them. So I guess you might say I've been successful. Well, then I asked him, well, what else have you done in your life? He said, well, I retired from Merrill Lynch after 35 years. And I worked for another corporation for 25 years. And me and my quick math, I figured out that was 60 years total. And I thought, wow, is it really possible to become cynical after 60 years in corporate life rather than to feel successful? Jack made me think about that. In our journey to success, wherever that is, we can actually lose the things that are most important in life. That day when I talked to Jack, I realized that success always has a beginning, and success always has an ending. I know that's not very profound, but very often we're so busy in our businesses and in our lives that we don't think about that fact. How are we going to end? So how we finish, I believe, is more important than how we began. And the legacy that we leave behind is determined by how well we have finished the race. So what does true success really look like? There's a couple hundred people here this afternoon, and if I would ask you to tell me what success mean to you, there may be 200 different responses to that. But success is defined as an event that accomplishes its intended purpose, or a state of prosperity or fame. Pretty simple. So that means you can be successful doing just about anything. An event that accomplishes its intended purpose. I heard a quote recently, and they said that success, this was one person's definition, success is going from one failure to the next with enthusiasm. Some of you are enthused about that, others are not. That's all right. Just a couple of examples about successful people that all of us know, Henry Ford being one of them. Great success and very famous, obviously. Some of you may still drive his car. But it's said that Henry Ford loved his son, Edsel, but his efforts to toughen Edsel up were misguided, and he was constantly humiliating Edsel in public. It became so bad that Edsel's health deteriorated and he collapsed under the pressure of it all. One of Ford's chief lieutenants said, Ford's greatest mistake of his life is, or Ford's, in his own words, the greatest mistake in my life is the way I treated my son. Cornelius Vanderbilt, great success. He became one of the world's wealthiest men through railroad and shipping interests. His son Cornel was an embarrassment to him, and they became estranged to the point where his son refused to go see his father on his deathbed. He was largely ignored in his father's will and spent his last night gambling away his remaining assets, and then shot himself to death in a New York hotel that he could not afford to pay. What is success? How are we going to finish? What's your plan? What's important to you? These men were truly famous, prosperous, and financially successful. But I just have to wonder, did they end well? Sometimes we can lose the things that are most important to us as we try to climb the corporate ladder or the ladder of success. Now, I can relate to failures. I'll share just a couple with you. You don't want to hear them all, let me tell you. You don't want to hear them all, for sure. But I can truly relate to failures. I've experienced more in my lifetime than I ever thought that I would. My dreams as a little Amish girl in Lancaster County, Pennsylvania, and as a young bride at 19 years old, and a mother of 3 children, my dreams were very, very simple. And I never imagined that my life would go into great despair, experience the failure and the darkness that I experienced for many years of my life. But I have to say that I've also accomplished more than I ever dreamed or ever thought was possible. I'm here to tell you tonight that my greatest success was not Auntie Anne's soft pretzels, but it really was overcoming myself because I want to end well. Along the way, I realized it's really not about money. It's really about relationships. It's really about my family. It's really about loving those who are closest to me and living life in a healthy way with those I love the most. So being enthusiastic between my failures, I can tell you I was not. Between my failures, it felt more like the Great Depression, and I thought I never could get up out of bed again. So I'm not a pro or an expert at being enthusiastic between my failures. Maybe you are. But I am grateful that I did not quit in the midst of a time in my life when I failed so miserably that I contemplated suicide. But what I can relate to is getting back up and trying again and again and again and again. And many of you here today are here because you've done that. You've gotten up time and time and time again. You said, I'm not going to stop now. It's never a good time to quit. For me, it was not an option. I believe that true success is really not about what you can accumulate, but rather how much you have given away at the end of the day. Given away, I don't mean just money, monetary things. I'm talking about how much you have given away of yourself, your talents, your time, your money included as well in that list. And I know that many business people sitting here today use their wealth to truly make a difference in this world. And that was my goal at Auntie Anne's. Well, I got to know before I forget this. This is a very, very important question. And I'm going to get real personal with you right now. But I would like to know how many of you in this room have never experienced an Auntie Anne pretzel. You've never had, like never? Do you know what I'm talking about? Okay. Wow. Okay, so I'm not sure if we have enough of coupons with us or not, because there's like about half of you. But if you have never had an Auntie Anne's pretzel, now for those of you who have had a pretzel, you may not come over and get a coupon, okay? I've instructed 5 for anyone who has never had an Auntie Anne pretzel here. please go by the table, and she will give you a coupon, and you can go get you a free pretzel. And the rest of you are going to have to buy your own pretzel. So we'll see. Maybe we can stretch that a bit. I'm not sure. But wow, maybe half of you have never experienced an Auntie Ann pretzel. Now we're in 46 states, and we're in 26 countries. And I'm wondering, where do you live? I mean, you're travelers, right? Most of you travel. Is that right? Yeah? Wow. Well, look for us. We're out there somewhere. All right. I believe that success is more about what you give than what you take. Wow. That fills my heart up. Because what I just said is true. I said success is more about what you give than it is about what you take. And if you want to live a life that is full to overflowing, begin the life of giving. And it can really just start in your house with your family. I read when I started Auntie Anne's in 1988, many years later, initially we knew that Auntie Anne's was created to give. We wanted to be a philanthropic company. We wanted to give back to the community. We knew that Auntie Anne's was created to do that. And much later on in the years of Auntie Anne's, I read a psalm that said, "Don't be overawed when a man or a woman grows rich, and when the splendor of their house increases. For they will take nothing with them when they die, and their splendor will not descend with them." Yes, their splendor will not descend with them. Do not be overawed. We're like awed about people who are wealthy and famous and prosperous. We watch television. Our eyes are glued to people who are prosperous and wealthy and famous. What is it about that? I'm not sure. I'm just asking the question. But don't be overawed about that, because we're not taking a thing with us. And don't strive for wealth. I've been to many funerals. It's really true. We're not taking anything with us, because you never see anything in the casket where the deceased person is laying. There's nothing there but the body. You don't see any money or 401ks or insurance plans, or you see nothing. We leave here with nothing. My husband and I believe that we can give our way into great success, and in the process experience great joy. My experience has been that hard work, success is a direct result of hard work. Now, if you're in business, you understand what I mean. It takes a lot of hard work to be successful. And staying true to your purpose, which is what I want to talk about, in the midst of your success comes about because you remember your purpose. I said staying true to your purpose in the midst of great success comes about because your purpose is clear, you remember it, and you persevere to stay true to your purpose. What is your purpose? And you may say, well, it's obvious. It should be obvious to you. I'm in business. No, I'm talking, dig a little deeper. What is your purpose? Your purpose gives you life. It's what makes you get up every morning. I can contribute any success that we've ever had to faith, hard work, great people and staying true to our purpose. I remember the first day of Auntie Anne's. It was a brand new day for me. But the purpose that we went into business with made Auntie Anne's an unstoppable force. We had purpose before we had a business. There were many days in the life of Auntie Anne's that I wanted to quit. Now, I know that's normal. Some of you here know exactly. Probably most of you have experienced. You just want to quit. I'm just going to quit. I'm going to go work for somebody else. Or I'm just going to quit my job. Whatever. We just want to quit because it gets tough. But my purpose is what kept me going. I really didn't think when I started Auntie Anne's that I had what it takes to be an entrepreneur. Now, you know that an entrepreneur is someone who will work 16 hours a day to avoid working 8 hours a day for someone else. Is that right? Did you get that? We'll work 16 hours a day just to avoid working for someone else for 8 hours. That's the sign of a true entrepreneur. All of us know that most times we have to do 16-hour days or more. I also believe that a successful entrepreneur is someone who will simply do what others don't feel like doing. How many in the room know what that's like? You just don't feel like doing it. But you do it anyway. It's called perseverance. Many people have asked me this question in the many interviews that I've had in the last 20 years. So what kept you going? From one store to 10 to 35 to 50 to 100 to 500 to 1,000. Today, Auntie Anne's has over 1,300 locations. My answer was very simple. So don't be looking for something profound here. I said two things I did a lot. I cried and I prayed. And I became an expert at both in the early days of Auntie Anne's. Because I really didn't know. I'd never walked this way before. I didn't know how to do this. That's why early on I mentioned grace. I needed grace from my employees, from my vendors, from my franchisees, for anyone who did business with Auntie Anne's. I needed grace because I really was not the expert in the business world. When I would feel like I wanted to quit, I would hear the word purpose. And it would keep me going. A little bit about my history. I was born a little Amish girl in Lancaster County. Now, I didn't see anything about Lancaster County on any of your overheads up here. Anybody ever go to Lancaster County, Pennsylvania to look at the Amish people? Sure you do. Well, look at me. I'm one. I am. I'm Amish. I grew up that way. I know I don't look Amish. Okay. All right. Somebody asked me the question, are you Amish? And then I say, do I look Amish? Tell me, do I? Okay. There's your answer. But I did grow up in an Amish family, and when my husband and I were 19, we got married. I was 19, he was 21. That's when we left the culture. And my sister, 5, my mom and dad were Amish, and horse and buggy Amish. So those of you who've been there, you understand my culture. I was one of 8 children, 5 boys and 3 girls. My dream was very simple back in the day. It was simply have my own family, have children, and just be a wife and have a family. It's what you do when you're Amish. And work and make a living. Make your own way in life. That's what I love about the Amish people. There's not one person that lives in the Amish community that is dependent on any government assistance. Well, that should make you clap. Your money is not going to the Amish community because they know how to do community. And that's what really life is all about, helping each other. And they know how to do that well. And I'm proud of that fact about the Amish people. So Mom and Dad taught us on the farm many things about life. Faith in God, working hard, teamwork as a family of 8 kids. Mom said to us every day, be kind. Not to the outside world, be kind to each other. Persevere. Simply doing what you just don't feel like doing. We did it every single day, right? Every day we did things we didn't feel like doing on the farm. It's called discipline. I believe it really set me up for my future as Auntie Ann. The farm is where I developed a love for baking. And at the age of 12, I would come home from school, and that was the only day for 2 years that my mom was not in the home when we were there. And my mom and dad went to farmers market in Philadelphia, and Thursday evening she went with Dad, and I would come home from school, and she'd have a note on the table that said, Anna Betts, 25 shoe-fly pies, 10 cherry pies, 15 apple pies, 10 layer cakes, and so on and so on. I would walk my way down into the basement, crying as I went, because I did not want to do that by myself. But I learned how to persevere. And the next day, my dad would take my pies and cakes that I made all by myself, and he would sell them to the public. I don't know what they looked like, but he was really proud of me. And I learned there, at that time, how to bake. And felt really good about the customers' comments about a great product. So that's what I hear today about Auntie Ann's pretzels. Everywhere I go, I love your pretzels. Well, for those of you who've never had them, you don't know yet, but you will. I promise. So I learned to work very hard as a child. I married a hard-working Amish guy, and together we set out to fulfill our dreams. We were young, innocent, and filled with love for each other and for God. Though the day I got married to Jonas Beiler, man, I thought I hit the jackpot. This man was tall, dark, and handsome, and hardworking. I loved him. Love him still. Okay. I was living my dream. Had my own family. That's all I ever wanted. After 45 years of marriage, today I'm married 45 and a half years to this man, Jonas. He's not quite as tall. Some of you older guys out there, you know what I'm talking about. You may laugh about it if you want, or you don't have to, but he's not quite as tall. And he's not quite as dark-haired anymore. His hair is mostly gray. But let me tell you, he's still very handsome. I still believe I'm the luckiest girl in the whole wide world because of the day I married Jonas Beiler. He's the man. He's the man. The secret to our success in our marriage was he loved God more than he loved me. Think about that one. In a few short years, our dreams were broken. Our 19-month-old little girl, Angela, blonde and curly-haired and full of life, blue eyes, and loved everybody and everything. And if she was around you, you couldn't miss her. She made sure that you noticed her. On a Monday morning, 8:45, Angela was killed instantly in a farm accident. At the time, my sister Fi was driving the Bobcat between my house and my mom and dad's house, and Angela made her little trek. We all lived in had a little farmette, so we all lived close by, and Angie made her way up to Grandma's house. And my sister Fi was working for my dad, driving a Bobcat. Turned the Bobcat around, and when she looked forward, Angela's lifeless body was in front of the Bobcat. This experience took not only me, but my sister Fi into a very different place in our life. From living my dream to shattered lives, took me to a time of great depression and darkness like I'd never known. During that time, I went to see my pastor, who at the time I thought was a good man. He, at that point, seduced me. Stayed in a relationship with him. Why am I telling you all this? I want you to know by the end of the time I'm done here that all things are possible. And we can get stuck with our experiences in life, but we don't have to stay there. We can get up again and again and again and again. It's possible. All of this happened before Auntie Anne's was ever a thought in my mind. After all of this happened, my pain was too deep for words. And my grief and sadness, nothing could describe at that time what I was feeling. So I withdrew into this place, this dark, quiet place for many years. 6 years of silence and 25 years of depression. I didn't know it at the time, but out of my pain, my purpose was born. Through our tragedy, Jonas and I, after many years, began to put our marriage and family life back together again with the help of marriage counseling. And Jonas decided at that time he wanted to help other couples and studied psychology and began to do counseling as a free service in our community. I'm fast forwarding real fast here. That meant one thing for me. 1988, when he decided to do that. That meant that I needed to go to work to make the dough. Oh, somebody got that. Thank you for laughing a little bit. That's great. Thank you. I had to go to work to make the dough, and I ended up making pretzels so that I could support my husband, who had stuck with me through all my craziness. I went to make money so he could do free counseling, and that's why Auntie Anne's started. I said we had a purpose before we had a business. My decision to go to work was not based on a great or smart business plan, but it was simply based on a financial need that we had. Auntie Anne's is a modern-day business miracle. If you read my book and really hear what I'm saying, you just got to believe it. Auntie Anne's should never have happened according to the standards of corporate and the educational system. I knew nothing about business when we started. But I clearly knew what my purpose was. I want you to go home tonight when you're in your room and you're there by yourself and you got some time to think. Instead of turning the TV on, just get your pen and paper out and think about and write down what your purpose is. Ask yourself the question, what is my purpose? You may say, I don't know. That's all right, but you'll find it if you really want to. Write it down. Begin to write down what your purpose is. I can tell you at the time of Auntie Anne's, the beginnings of Auntie Anne's, there wasn't a headhunter in the world that would have come knocking on my front door to ask me to be the CEO of an international franchise organization. Why? Because I was not qualified. But I was qualified. God knew I was qualified, and he knocked on my door. He said, I have something I want you to do. Purpose with passion is dangerous. Purpose is defined as the object toward which one strives to intend or to resolve, to perform or to accomplish a result that is desired. Check it out in your dictionary, whatever one you use. There's all kinds of definitions for purpose, but I love this one. It's a determination or resolution. purpose. 3 things that I didn't have when I started Auntie Anne's. If you know anything about the Amish people, you know that our academic history is not very impressive. And you may laugh because it's just the way it is. If you grow up Amish, you go to the 8th grade. That's it. And then you go to work. So there were 3 things I did not have. Formal education, we had no capital, and we had no business plan. Never thought about it. But we had a purpose. I didn't have a formal education because the culture requires you to go to 8th grade and then go to work on the farm or help your family. Community begins very young in the Amish culture. You learn about community very young, at a very young age. I never thought anything about going to work on the farm or waitressing at a restaurant somewhere where I could make money and bring it home and give it to mom and dad to help meet the needs of the family. It's what we did. Oh, but maybe I can impress you a little bit. I did receive my high school diploma when I turned 50. Okay. Thank you. But before I received my high school diploma, 1 week before I received my high school diploma, I received my first honorary doctorate degree. I know it sounds like a story, but it's true, I did. I've received 2 honorary doctorates. And that's, to me, it humbles me. And it's way beyond what I would have ever dreamed or imagined. When Auntie Anne started, we had no capital, no money, because we just moved back from Texas. After living there for 10 days, we came back from Texas broken in spirit, broken financially, broken in body after all the things we had gone through. So we had no savings, we had no 401k plan, we had no CDs, no investments of any kind. We came back from Texas with $25 in our pocket. We had no business plan because we simply didn't know that to be in business, you actually needed a business plan. So as the company began to grow, I realized 3 things that I didn't have, I should have had. I began to feel intimidated as I made my rounds in the business world. I mean, put yourself in my shoes. Everywhere I went, people had more money, knew more about business, were more educated than I was. I figured that out pretty quickly. Auntie Anne's is a modern-day business miracle. It should never have happened. So I whined and I fretted. My intimidation made me feel very uncomfortable in the world of business. It was during that time I came home one day. I was talking to my husband about it, and he just said to me, "Hun, I hear what you're saying, but you know, God put you in this position for a very special reason, and you have what it takes to do the job. So just stop complaining about who you are or who you want to be, and just be who you are. And be the best that you can be." That's good advice. Stop complaining about who you are. Just stop looking around and thinking, "Oh, I want to be like that person. Oh, I wish I could be like them." No, be the best that you can possibly be. And then I found a verse in Psalm that said, "I will instruct you and I will teach you in the way that you should go." Well, now, can you ask for anything better than that? Powerful. Powerful. And I took God at face value. And I said, "Okay, I'm going to depend on you to teach me in the way that I should go." I decided to stop whining about what I didn't have and focus on what I had. And what did I have? 3 things. I had a great purpose. I had a great product. And I had great people. It's all you need. It's all you need. What you focus on is what you put your energy into. If you focus on what you don't have, it will drain you of your energy. If you focus on what you have, over time, you will realize that what you have is bigger or more than what you don't have. You may have to think about that a little bit. I don't have the time to repeat myself here a lot, but what you have is more than what you don't have. It's true. And what I had was purpose. I hope you hear what I'm saying. I said I didn't come to lecture you. I came to share with you from my heart what helped me to get through some of the most difficult times of my life in the business of Auntie Anne's. And it was purpose. Purpose will impact everything you do. I became obsessed with my purpose. And my purpose was to give. I want to just say it again. 3 things that I had, and then go into 3 things that purpose will do. 3 things I had was purpose, product, and people. And if you do those 3 well, I call them the 3 small P's. If you do those well, then you eventually will realize the capital P, which is profit, which everybody needs in business. But there's a right way to go about making a profit. And then I discovered purpose will give you 3 things. Purpose will give you power to overcome any obstacle. Purpose will give you a passion that is unbelievable. And purpose will give you a position of influence. Overcoming power, to me, meant the power to stay when I wanted to run. You're pulling it out of me. I'm feeling it in my heart. The purpose to stay when you want to run. Auntie Anne's was exploding. We started Auntie Anne's in 1988 with a $6,000 loan from my father-in-law and bought our first market stand in Downingtown. We had no plans to expand. But by 1992, we were opening our 100th store. The growth was fast and intense. You have to remember, I'm still a little Amish girl inside of me, and I was a stay-at-home mom until 1988. I knew nothing, zero, nothing about business. So by the time 1992 rolled around and we were at number 100 store, I was stretched to the max. By 1995, we'd opened our first international store in Jakarta, Indonesia, of all places. Halfway around the world. And I mean, I'm exposing my ignorance here. I mean, I really didn't know that there was a Jakarta, Indonesia. But we went there, very successful. People said to me, why did you go to Indonesia, halfway around the world, for your first international store? Why not Mexico or Canada? My simple answer to that was, well, I guess I figured if we can do business halfway around the world, then anything closer might be easier. I know that's not a very smart statement there, but that's what I said. The business was absolutely exploding. Auntie Anne stretched me to the point of personal, professional, and spiritual exhaustion. And what I learned early on as the CEO of this fast-growing organization was that if I was going to grow as an organization, then I, as the owner and founder and the person of the organization, I had to grow personally. If we're going to grow as an organization, then I knew that I needed to grow personally. And I've discovered that you cannot grow professionally if you don't grow personally. How many of you have seen 50-year-old people, men or women, in your office or in the business place that act like a 10-year-old kid? Yeah? You're laughing because you've seen it. Because people grow professionally, but they don't grow personally. So you have this great divide. We never mature. But I knew early on I needed to grow. I overcame adverse circumstances on a daily basis. It meant I had to get over myself. To live a life of purpose meant that I had to grow in every aspect of my life. And instead of running away, I decided to stay and grow. I read books about franchising, business, leadership, seminars. I went to seminars, conferences, workshops, so I was done with that. I just couldn't go to any more. But I knew that I had to become more than I was. Slowly, gradually, I became a businesswoman, and I got comfortable in my own skin. Purpose will give you unbelievable passion. I became passionate about the product and the people that I served on a daily basis, meaning my employees. I cared deeply about the needs of my employees. I couldn't help it. I loved my employees and I cared about them. All I wanted to do was have parties and be with them. I made it my business each week to make my rounds to talk to my employees each Monday morning. I wanted to know them. I wanted them to have an experience at Auntie Anne's corporate that was better than anything they had ever experienced anywhere else. And it didn't always mean more money. I read a book about Abe Lincoln. He was dubbed with an MBWA. Sounds impressive, right? Yeah? Well, it simply means manage by walking around. MBWA, manage by walking around. That's what I did. Many days I told my husband, I don't feel like I got a thing done today. He said, well, who'd you talk to? I truly believe that when you care for your people, they'll be loyal to your purpose. If you care for your people, they'll be loyal to your purpose. Number 3, influential position. When I started Auntie Anne's, I was surprised at how business was being done in the real business world. And I wondered sometimes, where is the integrity? I'm not going to talk about integrity, but I sure struggled with, where is it? So at that time, I took my position of influence to introduce the concept of light to all of my employees, vendors, and franchisees. Light is defined as it simply makes things visible. Light does not speak. It only shines. I wanted our company to be an example. I didn't say perfect. Impossible to be perfect. But you can strive for excellence. took the word light and we did the acrostic. L, lead by example or integrity. I, invest in others. G, give freely. H, honor God. And T, treat all business contacts with respect. Today, Auntie Anne's is in 45 states, 26 countries, and I never would have imagined that Auntie Anne's Pretzels would go around the world. I mean, really, can you believe that? Just think about it. Why would a pretzel go all the way around the world? I still don't know that, except that it's a great product. And if you think about it, a pretzel, simply, it's bread. If you can really get past the shape of it, it fits into almost any culture in the world because it's bread. So in that respect, I do get it. By the time I sold the company early on in the life of Auntie Anne's, we really did know how to develop business plans and how to strategize. And this little Amish girl traveled all around the world selling pretzels. Can you imagine that? I don't know about you, but it's amazing to me. Starting in the back of a horse and buggy, ending up in a jet plane flying to Jakarta, Indonesia. And many days today, I live in Texas now, just moved there in December. I have my own Harley, so I get around on my Harley. I don't do the horse and buggy thing very well anymore. I'm grateful that Auntie Anne's was and still is a business that sees the needs of others. And I want to challenge you today in your everyday life. There are needs every day around you. Just look for them. You don't have to look very long or very hard. You can meet people's needs. They don't have to be monetary, but you can meet needs. It's pretty simple if you just look. And today, thousands of lives have been influenced because of the company. Auntie Anne's has provided a better quality of life for people around the world. I met a man from Egypt about 3 years ago. His name was Abbas. When he saw me, he came and just gave me a big old arms around hug and said, "Thank you, Auntie Anne, for creating the pretzels. I have 8 stores in Egypt, and I'm very, very successful. Thank you." Wow. I thought, I knew there were camels in Egypt and pyramids, but how do Auntie Anne's pretzels fit into Egypt? But they do, and they're very successful there. We sold the company in 2005 and built a community center in Gap, Pennsylvania, and we serve people there on a daily basis. While living by purpose during the life of Auntie Anne's and beyond, I felt a great sense of responsibility. At the same time, I felt great joy and a great sense of fulfillment. And without purpose, I can tell you, I would not be here today. I would have given up. Really, I would have. While living your purpose, you'll discover that you can do more than you ever thought possible. Your purpose does not have to be grand. You just have to know what it is. I know that today we're living in very challenging times, but I can tell you that when you find your purpose, it will stand the test of time, and your purpose will take you to new heights and to new places. And in the face of great adversity, challenging economic times, and personal financial struggles, you will not only survive, but you will thrive when you find your purpose. In closing, what I really know, there's not much. I don't know a lot, let me tell you. I really don't know a lot. But what I know for a fact is that purpose will give you overcoming power. Purpose will give you an unbelievable passion. And purpose will give you an influential position. All of us were born for a very specific purpose while we live here on planet Earth. Don't waste your time here. Don't waste it. Find it and determine to fulfill it. Mother Teresa quoted, "You don't have to be famous to be effective. You just have to be faithful. I want to define success again. It's simply an event that accomplishes its intended purpose. And let me add, find your purpose. Be faithful to it, and you, my friend, will be successful, guaranteed. Thank you again for this opportunity. God bless you. Come by and see us at the table.